Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Next Level Live. Let's check out our numbers this morning. In January week 4, we hit 9,784,000, bringing both our month-to-date and year-to-date in volume at 37,586,000. Great work, everyone. We do have a couple agents to shout out today. A big congrats to our agent spotlight this week. We featured Randall Baum with FFL Republic. Randall is being recognized for already helping 106 families year to date. Great work, Randall. This week, our rising star featured Kendall Kane with FFL USA. Kendall's being recognized for helping over 119 families year to date. Love to hear it, Kendall. Great work. All right, everyone. Coming up next, we've got Inside the Sale. Enjoy.
All right, welcome to the Next Level Live. I got Sierra Jones with me today. How you doing, Sierra?
I'm pretty good, pretty good.
Awesome. This is the first time guests requested that we change the color in the studio for them, so we have a nice little pink setup for you. So, and it makes sense because that is partly how you were able to earn some free leads last year at convention. You wore a bright pink suit and a nice sign.
Yes.
We're going to talk about some sales today.
Okay.
But you told me earlier, you said you're not a salesperson.
Not a salesperson, man.
All right, explain that.
So whenever I go out, my identity is I am there to to help people with multiple different things.
Yeah.
There's a variety of things I could be there for. If I'm going in and that person, there is no need for something, then I'm not selling something.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put them in something they don't need, and I'm not going to, tell somebody who, really cannot afford it. If I'm going through it and they're trying to get something, and I'm like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
You got to be able to buy some, lunch meat, I'm not going to push people into something that isn't right for them. So, and I don't have vacuum cleaners in the back of my van I'm selling either. So it's like, I can't be like, hey, want to buy a nice vacuum today?
Yeah.
Here, I got your vacuum. So that when I'm going in, I'm not so much, I'm not a salesperson. I'm really more so like consulting, advising and stuff like with people, So for me, I don't focus on that whole aspect. People say, sales.
Yeah.
I just don't put myself in that category because there's many times that I have, helped people instead of, putting them in something and benefiting from it. I've actually helped them in some way. And, so depending on what it is that God put on my heart, and I was like, okay, God, okay, I'll do it,
Got it.
So I don't go in looking to, sell, make money off people. So that's a big thing.
Got it. Now,
no matter what's going on.
All that being said, calm down. She did help 400 families. I'm talking to them, not
okay.
Well, because people hear that and they go, "Wait a minute, she doesn't sell any life insurance. What's she doing on the training?"
Right?
No, calm down. She helped over 400 families last year. She's a Hall of Fame producer. So talk to us about your process, right? So, are you still in home, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes, I mainly do. Yeah,
You're like
I just
the
do
Lone Rangers here. I think everyone we've had in here for like the past 8 months, they're all telesales, virtual telesales, which is fine. But you're still going out. Mm-hmm. So talk to me about your. I don't even want to call it a sales process. I feel like you might scream at me. So talk to me about your process in the home and what you're doing in there to make sure that they're in a better spot and not, and I know what you mean. You're not going in there with commission breath. You're not going like, oh, I need this sale. You're looking at how do I better this person's situation.
Right.
And at the end of the day, was our kind of mantra when we started this company was our job is to meet with clients and leave them in a better position than they were before we got there. Right. And sometimes it may be, hey, this is not a good fit for you. A lot of times because they're filling out forms looking for insurance, it usually is. Or it may be, hey, let's get you out of this policy that you're paying too much on. Let's do something that's a little more affordable. But at the end of the day, you're driving, what's driving you is your desire to help the family, right?
Right.
So talk to me about your process in the home.
So my process in the home is, I sit down with the client. I let them talk. I ask questions. I ask a lot. I stay in control. I ask a lot of questions. But it's to my whole thing is to get them comfortable. They need to trust me, and I need to know the ins and outs of different things to know what they might actually, if there's a need for something. And then ask about their family, how many kids you have. I'm very personable.
Yeah.
And, if there is, I'll ask them, well, have you applied for anything recently or looked into anything? Sometimes, the craziest stuff is stuff that they've, they just, tried to apply for their Social Security to retire or something like that. Or, there's stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
And, so whichever way, they start going to, and as they are talking, people get more comfortable, and, they start, telling you, well, I wanted to look into this, and I was looking into this, this life insurance, and I was trying to get something that would cover the house if something happened, or, but if you initially just went in there like, hey, yeah, I'm here to do your insurance stuff, yeah, they're going to be like, nope, not interested, bye.
Right.
They're going to shut down really fast.
Yeah.
It's more of a read the person, kind of see, what your demeanor needs, kind of go with their flow, and let them be the one to kind of give you the information to see where the need is.
Got it. How long do you normally spend doing that kind of connecting, rapport building, or whatnot?
It depends. I mean, sometimes it's a little bit longer than your average appointment times, okay? I'm really bad at time management, but there's also people I really enjoy talking to, and I'll just, hang out with them a minute longer. But I don't rush it. I don't put a time limit on myself. That was one thing that I can't do. I can't rush that trust building process. And and that comes back to chargebacks too.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going, just because somebody wants something does not mean I'm going to put them in it. I'm not trying to waste my time or theirs and put them in something they cannot keep and financially afford. And it just hit me, again, I'm spending that extra time to build trust.
Yeah.
But once I find the need, I'll go over why it's needed and why it'd be beneficial. And, at that point, I spend time going over that with them, so when I leave,
you're not
they know
moving on until you have solidified that you found the need as to why they fill this out.
Yeah.
And you're doing that through the conversation, asking questions versus just, hey, why'd you fill this out?
They decline it every
exactly, because everyone filled it out just for information.
Everyone filled it out. Let's just get that out of the open, okay? Yeah. Everyone filled it out, all right? So here's what I've come to learn over trial and error. Everyone filled it out. But 98% of people are going to say, I didn't do that. And unless you want to just argue with them, you're not going to get nowhere with that. You filled this out. Well, take a different approach. Try something different. If you keep getting hit with the same objectives, and objections with things, then try something different.
Right.
And it's well, I know they filled it out. We all know that they filled it out. They even know that they filled it out.
Yeah.
But it's they're not gonna tell you that they filled it out. I don't know why, but it's just how it works. And so therefore, you just kind of start figuring out, because if you sit there and talk to them for a minute and they'll start talking and randomly, and then you're like, there it is.
Right.
Yeah. So you filled out what?
Yeah.
And you don't even have to start off with any, because it puts a bad taste in their mouth. If you start off with something like, well, you did this, and this is how I got your information. And so, for me anyways, I did some trial and error.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of different ways to go about this approach.
Sure.
A lot. And so it's, finding what works, and, so it can be tweaked a million different ways, I feel like.
So once you find their need, right, whatever they say, hey, we just bought this house, want to make sure that if I pass away, my wife and kids take, whatever they say, what's your next step?
So once I find the need, then it's hammer time.
Okay.
I hammer on the need. This is why, this is what would be beneficial for you. This is why it'd be beneficial. This is the purpose it would serve. Let's look into, budgets, things like that.
Yeah.
And then based off of their budget and stuff.
Do you do financial inventory? Do you just ask budget questions?
I go over a little bit of financial inventory.
Okay.
I don't overstep with financial inventory.
Yeah.
Most people that I meet with, they get upset asking personal financial questions. So, depending on the person, again, that's where I read the people. If there's somebody that I think's going to get, upset, or they're going to be like, whoa, I don't want to, talk about that. At that point, that's kind of where I'm like, well, what's within your budget? Like, and they'll always come back with, well, what's the standard? What do most people do? That's what I get 90% of the time. So it's, I have, working class is a different, area. And then people on Social Security disability, that's a whole different area. You go up telling somebody on Social Security disability that's living on a very fixed income, barely making it, that something's going to be $150 a month, they're not going to be able to do it. I mean, you're going to have to see more of those smaller, income people to get that, that amount. But you're making a bigger impact. You're helping more people, and you're putting them in stuff they can afford and keep. You're not, making as many chargebacks. You don't have all the chargebacks hitting because you're like, well, I want to put, Maggie, who brings in $900 a month, I want to put her in 150 when she doesn't even have 100 left for groceries. Like, I mean, so you start kind of seeing, like, and it all depends on your area. Yeah. So my area is, I know that if, people are living on a Social Security disability or a very tight budget, I know what their limits are because I've grown up. I know the people. I know, I think about me. Like, if it was me and tables were turned, could I afford that? Yeah. And I mean, no, the first month that the washer and dryer break and I got to go buy or a car part that I'm not prepared for, I ain't got it. Yeah. And that's, I mean, I could be like the next month or something. So, it's a lot of common sense. If you really sit and think about it, like it's basically like, what would you do, what done for you or for your grandparents? Like, because you can't stretch it to a point where you're like, oh, I got to make this sale and I'm just going to put them in this because it's never going to work out. No. I mean, they're going to lose trust in you, because like the first time something bad happens and they lose it, I mean, you get hit with a chargeback and then they lost it and they're like, I'm not doing that again. It's too much.
Right. So you start with the need, then you figure out their budget, right? What do you do next?
So after we, go over their budget, then at that point, we kind of go over, what they're in, what they're, when they get their payments. Okay. So, are they,
You do a lot of final expense?
Yeah, I do a lot of final expense. I do, I do a lot of IULs, things like that. But 90% of the time, if you set up like for it to take effect, immediately, because you want to do that always. You want to try to do that all the time. Yep. Then you want to know, well, next month, what are your normal pay dates? Yeah. And you want to set up, that draft date for their pay date. You don't want to ask them, well, hey, what day of the month do you want this to come out? Say, well, when do you normally get paid? Bi-weekly, you're on Social Security, so is it the first, the third Wednesday? Kind of be asking all the questions instead of leaving it open. Once you do it enough, you know what to ask, when to ask it, and, boom, boom, boom. But, I do one thing. I mean, I do go over their medical with them.
At what point do you do that in your appointment?
So, I go over their medical, like, initially. Okay. So we skipped over that.
Okay. So that's really the first step.
Yeah, that's really the first step. The medical, because, I do ask them if they know their medications, and things like that. If they don't, then I start, all different tactics. I mean, I'm... okay, well, do you have any of these problems, so just all different questions to kind of figure out the best I can what medicines that they're on.
Right. I'm sure, you've been doing this a while. I'm sure you've learned the hard way where you show a client a product.
Something that you,
And then they go, oh, by the way, like you're filling out the app. I forgot to tell you I had a heart attack last year.
Right.
Like, so.
Yep. I did that a few times.
Yep, and we've all been there. Yeah. Which is why you ask the health questions first now.
The first,
Now let's finish up with some quality of business stuff because you mentioned chargebacks. I'm assuming you probably went through a period of time like most of us where you get started, you get hit with some chargebacks, and then you learn, ooh, quality of business is actually important. I need to do some things. Yeah. What were those things that you tweaked to improve your quality of business, and what are you doing now?
The things I've tweaked with that is more of a you know, I'm looking surroundings. You know, I'm looking at you know, more so like what is there, or is this a person with a family? Is this a person with, you know, do they care? How much do they care?
Yeah.
You know, I'm more or less, I feel like I'm interviewing them.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around. It's I'm looking to see if I'm willing to, you know, put you, you know, give you options to help get you into something. It's not the other way around.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's a waste of time and energy and effort. So, you know, I kind of interview them, and one big things I'm like, listen, you know, this has got to be something that once it's there, it's in place. You don't want, you know, something to happen and this just, you not have it anymore. It's not how it works. I make sure people know that, you know, when they are entered into something, they're approved for a product, you know, at that point, you know, further on, as long as they're making their premium, you know, it doesn't matter if they're on a new medication, if something happens to them, whatever may happen to them, or, you know, health-wise, they have that product as long as they're paying. But if they quit paying on that product and they lose it, and they, you know, say they have a heart attack, we can't get that same good product.
Right.
You know, your pricing changes, the product changes, you don't get as much, you know, so I make sure people know that.
Yeah.
I go in
that's
over
huge
detail.
because, you know, obviously as an agent, you know that's true, but most clients don't know that.
Yeah.
And most agents don't go over that piece with their client, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that, I mean, I think you should do that in every appointment.
Yeah. I spend a lot of time in my appointments, and I would say that's one thing I tried to work on, but
how long is your average appointment right now?
I don't know. You really want to ask me that?
Of course.
I don't know. I probably spend an hour and a half with people.
Okay.
And then, you know, but you can't build that trust and get the information and get the importance and stuff out if you're rushing it, and then they can sense it, they can feel it, you know. And
hey, listen, if it's working, keep doing it. If it's not, then change it up. You know what I mean? Like if you're writing good business, your policies are sticking, you don't deal with a lot of chargebacks, and it's working, then maybe an hour and a half's your sweet spot. You know what I mean? I mean, there may be some people like me. If I was in there too long, it was a bad thing. We were becoming friends, and then you could tell me no. So I had to get out in about half hour, 45 minutes, tops.
Okay.
You know, everyone's different. But if an hour and a half work, like, and that's, you know, I love Sean's like best business advice. If it's working, keep doing it. If it's not, change something.
Yeah.
But that's how simple it is, you know. So hey, if that's working, and obviously it worked last year. You helped over 400 families hit Hall of Fame. But this is good stuff. Anything else you want to add before we head out?
You know, I think that it's really important to like if you're going door knocking and stuff. One thing that I do that I specifically do whenever I'm going out is I will pray and I will ask God to send me to the people who need me and that would benefit from having me, or, you know, or benefit me, teach me something in some way.
Yeah.
It's you know, I pray about very specific, like keep me safe. You know, if I'm not meant to meet with them, put up a block somewhere. You know, keep that from happening.
Yeah.
And, you know, because I really don't have a fear. And I think that could be a bad thing, but I don't care.
Yeah.
And, you know, and so I pray about it, though. And it's like, you know, God, keep me safe, but send me to who I can help, who will benefit from seeing me. And if you're specific like that and you're praying about that, you know, then, I mean, I feel like I'm proof that it works. Like, I mean,
well, that's why you ended up at the house with the couch sticking out the door.
Yeah.
So you had to check out the True Talk to get that story, by the way. But that's where you needed to be. They needed help, and both, you know, be careful what you ask for.
You could have broke a hip, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, that's bad.
Yep. But no, that's awesome. Good stuff. Let everyone know, Sarah, if someone's watching this and they want to join your team, where could they find you on social?
I'm on social media, Facebook under Sierra Jones. I'm on the Velocity team. Dave Wichard posts lots of really great stuff all the time, great social media. So I can be found, you know, on Facebook, just like everybody, you know, Sierra with an S.
Cool. Well, if you're not with us and you want to join her team, if you're with us, you got to stay on your own team. But if you're not with us, you want to join her team, find her on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you coming in doing this.
I'm glad that you guys had me.
Absolutely. We won't make it so long next time. You need to come up sooner.
I talk a lot.
Yeah.
It's cool.
All right. Thanks for joining us. You know where to find us every week here on TNL. Share, like this video, subscribe to us so you can see when we're coming out with new content, and we'll see you soon.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you all next week.